Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here. Now, if you're a statue collector, you know that there are many different variations of statues, but they are all separated into two main categories when it comes about the pose. You have a museum pose or you have an action pose. Now, someone recently asked me what was the difference between them and what will be best to collect. So in this video, I want to break it down, the good, the bad between both of them, and really give you some tips and ideas that can help you out to decide what will be the best option for you. So stay tuned. Now guys, I'm using these two pieces as a reference. They are great pieces, part of the DC Designer series, so they're about around 1/6 scale. They're favorites of mine. This is Batman, based on the art of Andy Kubert on the Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, with Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello. I'm not a fan of the run, but I love this piece. I love the art of Andy Kubert. And here we have, of course, Flash, based on the art of Francis Manapul on his run with Brian Buccellato. It's a great run. It's one of the favorite runs, I would say, from modern times for me. Love the art in these two pieces. Nowadays, it's really hard to determine what is action and museum because a lot of the pieces nowadays, they are very similar in tone. They all have kind of like the same, even the museum poses, they're more like a semi-action pose. And this has a little bit of that, you know, but it's fine. But we have to understand where this comes from. Museum poses are the pieces. The basic of a museum pose is always the fact that they're standing straight. If you have a statue that is standing straight, like in this case, at 2 feet on the ground, that automatically makes it a museum pose. Of course, this is more like a standing up straight type of pose. Now, this one has the bending knee. Some people don't like the bended knee on some museum poses, but it's something that is very common. But it works well with this piece. Now, the museum pose was something that was actually more prevalent when Bowen was around. At the beginning, at the first stages of Bowen designs, there were a lot of museum poses. And of course, you're going to see a lot of statues that they're pretty much the character is standing straight. Sideshow does a lot of semi-action, but technically they're museum poses because the characters are standing straight. Although they have a bended knee, Captain Morgan knee as we call it. But this is pretty much it. It's just standing straight. The character is looking to the void or looking down or looking up, but it's just standing straight. And definitely doesn't have much action. It's all about the figure itself. You know, the center of the story is this, you know, in this case, the statue and the character. Now, the difference with action poses is that mostly the first thing you're going to notice is that most of the time they are doing some type of dynamic pose, or they're doing something weird or crazy, or they're doing something physically. As you can see with this one. This one, for starters, only have 1 foot on the ground on the peg right there. And the other one, of course, he is running, or he's attempting to run. I love this pose. There's been so many attempts to do Flash over the years. And I still believe that this little piece, it has a much better pose, a more dynamic pose than the Sideshow, than the XM. I just like the way it is. Some people might not like the art. In this case, the art is kind of cartoony in the face and the expression, all of that. Of course, this is the art of Manapul, but I like this pose. It's a very good pose. It's very dynamic. Now, when it comes about display, and this is the big difference, museum poses, because they're standing straight, kind of like in a tube form, that really allows you to really have more together side by side, and you can really display them like that if you want to have a display. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people, particularly Bowen designs collectors, they love the Bowen because they were able to accommodate more pieces together. So you have a lot of pieces of the same era. Let's say that you want to have an era of the 70s comics. You want to have the Fantastic Four era. You want to have the X-Men era. You want to have all sort of eras. You can have them in a display. So with action poses, they definitely are part mostly of a diorama. They have something to tell. And in this channel, I have reviewed a lot of action pose statues. I'm a big fan of action pose. And they don't necessarily can display well with all pieces. They need to have another piece side by side to kind of display some type of action, and they're better as standalone pieces. Because of course, if you put in side by side, for example, in this case, this guy is standing and this is running. Where is he running? And he's standing, you know, like he's standing there and he's running. So it doesn't really work as well together. Yeah, you can put them side by side, but it kind of breaks I would say the form or breaks the purpose of it. This one fits better with another museum pose statue, and of course this collection has done other statues in the same vein. You have, for example, Nightwing that will go well with this piece because they're standing side by side. You have a Wonder Woman too. So some of those pieces will work best with this one, but this one, yeah, it can work together. But even though in the action you can see it's so short, there's a big little bit of difference there on the scale, but at the same time this piece works best just by itself. There's something that I noticed with this one. When I displayed this one, I prefer to display it in a shelf by itself, and it works best in my opinion, and that's something that you do with action poses. So if you're looking for a standalone piece, and at the same time you need more space because of course they're wider because they're doing some weird stuff. The diorama is always wider, of course. So definitely you're gonna need, in this case, action poses are better for that purpose. If you only need one single piece in one shelf, or you only want to display something singular in your collection, then of course this action poses are best. Now with pieces like this, there's always going to be some freedom that is taken by the artists, by the sculptors, and inspiration, of course. And all of that is the purpose of any statue is to tell a story. Now museum poses can be sometimes a bit void of that because it's not a story to tell. It's just Captain America holding his shield and standing straight. And it's more like a serious, facial expression, and you can tell all sort of things. It's more about really the character itself. Now with the action poses, they can be angry, they can be upset, they can be smiling, they can create all sort of expressions that tell a different story. And it's more about the whole aspect of what actually in this case, the artist is trying to tell with the whole story. So of course there are differences there, and you're going to notice those differences right away. I personally prefer action poses, although I have become more of a fan of museum poses over the years, and it has to do a lot with the fact that my space is limited, and museum poses really serve that purpose. Thankfully nowadays we get to see a lot of semi-action poses where characters are in a museum pose, but also they're doing some type of action movement, or they're holding, like in this case, this has some semi-action elements. As you can see, he's holding his fist right there, the way he's bending his knee. Those are semi-action elements in this museum pose. This one, I would say it's kind of like a museum pose in one way because of course it's kind of standing, so it's not a whole diorama going on there, but primarily it's an action pose. And of course those are the differences. They fit well, and I love the fact that companies are really recreating the semi-action poses more now than ever. So you still get the museum pose, which kind of it's more limited for your space, so it helps best in that situation. But at the same time, they're giving him a little bit of lively expression. And I feel that that's something that, Sideshow does a lot. Right now with Prime 1, they have the 2 Batman Hush. The Batman Hush that I reacted just recently. I love it. It does have it's a museum pose with a little semi-action, like kind of like this one in some sense. But I really love that. I love it because it doesn't take too much real estate in comparison to the older version that it has is an action pose. And actually they're both fantastic. They're great pieces. Now of course the one that just came earlier, that one takes more real estate, so that one you have to have a standalone area where you're gonna have to put it there by itself, and because it works like that. But the other one you can actually pair it right next to another statue, because when you have museum poses you can pair them together and they might be different, but they don't look awkward. Like for example with this one, yeah, you can put them together, but it kind of looks awkward in my opinion, because of course this guy is standing, this guy is running. Where is he running? Why he's looking down? Why he doesn't look to the front? So this are the differences, and they do help in the end with your display and the story you want to tell through that display. Alright guys, these are the differences between museum and action pose. They're both great, and at the end of the day it's all about personal preferences. You have to collect whatever you prefer, whatever you like. I love museum poses because they're very regal, standing straight. You can stack them up. They fit better in a multiple display. You can have so many in one single shelf, and they look great. They look terrific together. Now with action poses, they don't work as well with other pieces unless unless they all have the same action. They are better as standalone pieces or as dioramas. But I love the fact that they're telling a story beyond just a person standing straight. So at the end of the day, you have to choose whatever you like, but be conscious that whatever you collect has to kind of fit the same profile. So everything kind of looks even and is pleasing to the eye. So my friends, what is your opinion? What do you prefer? You prefer action pose over museum pose or vice versa? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. God bless you. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe. Also share this video with your friends through social media. My friends, take care. I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.